me see. We have a scarf for Skywalker, right?
Yes.
And perfume for the princess?
Yes. Yeah, but
What about Han Solo?
Couldn't we get him earmuffs?
That leaves one big problem.
The what?
Couldn't we get him a comb?
We gave him a comb last year.
What can you get a wooden for Christmas when he already owns a comb? What can you get in a hurry for a furry kind of friend like that? Take home. Oh, he doesn't need a tie clip, and he doesn't use shaving foam. So, what can you get a wooden for Christmas when he already owns a comb?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie and TV discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, if you don't watch it, he'll humble your bug, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
Hey, that's me. I have nothing clever to say to that.
Quite all right. And he's just already wearing his baby New Year diaper and a smile, Bruce Leslie.
I wear that all year because you never know. Every day is a new year somewhere.
Yeah, so we're crossing the prime meridian at some point, and there's
It's
always
somebody's first Bruce sighting.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. You got to leave him with a good impression. Otherwise,
You never get a second chance to make a first baby in a diaper impression.
It reminds me of Barney and come back, diaper. The Simpsons just flies away. All right. Welcome back, everybody. It is
But Adam, I'm sorry for derailing you for
please.
a second. I've got to bring this up.
Okay.
So last week we review Avatar, and the song that you play at the I'm blue.
Yeah.
First of all, great choice choosing that song. That song has been burrowed into my brain for an entire week.
You're welcome.
To the point now where I love it because it's on Lindsay's like constant rotation now, and when it comes up, I'm like, oh, you got to turn that up.
That's like the week before when the Guardians of the Galaxy special was out and you got that earwig from the old 97s.
Yeah,
It's
Like a Santa wants to rape you in your sleep song.
but think about this. It's also very Simpsons related, where it's that sideshow Bob stepping on a rake. The first couple of times it's funny, then eventually it's not funny, and then eventually it becomes funny again. That's how music
we
works
call that
sometimes.
the bringing it back around. That's the Too Many Cooks.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually, like you'll listen to Blue by Aqua, and then you're just like, it ain't that bad. Like it gets in your head.
I legitimately like that song now.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk bringing the show to a halt, but I just found the missing accessory from action figure.
Woo!
Oh, thank God.
If you don't
It's
know
a
it,
$150 action figure, dudes. I mean,
Sure.
I've been working on this all day.
it's
Yeah.
true.
The pose is now perfect. He looks like me, only better.
Well, nowhere to go but up. Okay, so check this out, everybody.
my.
This week's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be talking our top 10 movies of the year, but not superhero movies as we've done in previous years. We're going to do our top 10 non-superhero films this year. So we're going to go through that almost kind of a 30-question style, boom, 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 going back and forth. And the cool thing is we got a lot of folks that over at our Patreon who have given us some of their top films as well. So we'll be looking at some of those.
Oh,
If
I
you-
love it that we got the Patreon films.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about that twist.
But if
Are
you,
we doing it film cast style where we go 10 to 1?
Yeah, we're going to go 10-1. We're going to go 10 to
I
1.
couldn't imagine. I mean,
We'll go
all
10 to
10
1.
of mine are kind of tied for the middle, so it would be fine either way.
And before we get to the numero uno, we'll go through or maybe we'll do it after. We'll play it by ear. But we're going through our top non-superhero films, and we've got a decent number and everything. So, but again,
And it's top. Okay, I want to get this clear because I wasn't clear beforehand, and I could have easily asked, and I didn't. I chose non-superhero films I saw this year that were also released this year.
Well, that isn't the way that Adam's going to do it. I can tell you that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just telling you, like for me, I thought because I have done a lot of like Shudder watching this year of old stuff, and it would just all be like old horror movies if I didn't put another limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. And I've only broken that once. As a matter.
Oh, that's great, man. I fully expected you to be like Star Wars
No, no.
Yeah, it's like because movies that I've watched this year, I haven't necessarily watched for the first time this year.
This
I-
this is one that's really kind of more of a like a strong recommendation because I'm sure most people probably haven't heard of it and they need to, and that's the only reason that one's really kind of on the list.
I only have two movies that I know weren't released in 2022, but I got around to seeing in 2022. But it's like within a year.
That's fine. That counts.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I did watch Greasy Strangler and Things this year, but they're not on my list.
You had never seen Things before.
I'd seen it before, but I'm saying,
Oh, you
this
just
year,
love it.
Yeah, like I watched it twice this year because I thought I was going to do a podcast about it. That never happened. Adam.
Well, don't listen. Hey, listen. You
Adam.
You don't got to call me out while the red record button is on. For the love of everything. So if you would like to be one of the people that supports this show, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Join up at any particular level. We didn't discuss it before the show, but does Sean do you have everything this week, or should we push for one more?
We're gonna have to push for one more.
Push it for
wait.
one more.
I'm ready. Action Figure. That's a good nickname. Action Figure.
That is a pretty good
I
nickname.
wish I had a trailer to play. Okay, so let's kind of get into it. Like I said, we're going to do kind of top 10 here, bottom to top, as it were. I'll start off because, like I said, this is the only one that is kind of an older film for me. But I bought a box set of kung fu films in Hong Kong martial arts, specifically Shaw Brothers films, and I've been kind of going through the box set and everything. But I want to talk about The Mighty Peking Man from 1977. This is a man in a gorilla suit movie that is so good, you just have to see it.
Hold on a second.
I'm sold. I mean, man in a gorilla suit, there's no other kind than
that
you got to see it.
And I got to stop you there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So, man in gorilla suit, is he like King Kong or like the Donkey Kong?
Absolutely. Yes, he is. Okay, so let me read the IMDb here. King Kong goes Hong Kong as a giant Himalayan beast tries to save a sexy Russia Tarzanette from a sleazy sideshow promoter. The action location set in India and interracial romance made Variety made this verdict high camp Chinese style. Who wrote that? That's so horrible.
Man,
So whoever said it's King Kong Hong Kong style made me think about like ping pong on King Kong's Ding Dong. We used to say that a lot as a kid.
It is so good. You wait up like the last 45 minutes plus are all action, and there's no reason that this movie should be as good as it is. And like you can sort of see the guy's face behind the mask and everything, but it is so good. It's
What is the name again? Because I need to see this now. You have sold me on it.
The Mighty Peking Man, Peking.
So it's like Mighty Joe Young, but Peking.
Yeah, it's a takeoff, obviously, of King Kong and everything, but it is kind of done in this, Hong Kong style and everything, and it's
what
so
year are we
awesome.
talking here? Are we talking 2021?
77.
77.
Mhm.
Oh, that was close. Okay.
1977, The Mighty Peking Man. You may be able to stream that on YouTube, I think.
My number 10 is not going to be anywhere near that interesting. So, Sean, I can't follow that.
Okay. My number 10 came out this year, and it's the biggest surprise that I had this year, and that is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie.
I haven't seen that.
I'm going to be overselling it here, but that's kind of what we do. I was expecting nothing from this movie. It has one of the funniest sequences I've seen in a movie in many years, which is the Ugly Sonic scenic that's in this movie, where it's the original Sonic that they tried to push on us. And
I gotta see that now. It's on Disney Plus, right?
It is. It's on Disney Plus, and it's voiced by the dude from I Think You Should Leave, which gives it another kick up. So because there's already something creepy about that guy in the first place, which makes it so great. And he keeps saying that he thinks it's the teeth. I think that everyone's problem is the teeth.
Yeah, he's right.
It is one of those movies where I was just blown away. And once you learn that it's the Lonely Island guys who made the movie, it's like, oh, now I get it. This is why this is so well done. It's not for everyone. I can tell you that I have when people are like, hey, like what's a good movie that no one's watching? If I have recommended this to some people, and let's say I've told 5 people, one person will come back with, man, you and I have very different movie tastes, or even as much as you have really bad taste in movies.
Oh wow, that's an indictment instead of like, I thought it was all right. Like that's what you do when someone gives you a movie suggestion that's not great and you watch it. You just go like, it was interesting or something like that. But you don't. Who's the person that looks at someone else in the face and just goes, your movie choices are horrible?
Adam, you've been around me before. You know how people behave around me. Like people are constantly like giving me the business or like punching me.
It is
they do that all the time.
It is true.
Why do people behave that way around you, Sean? Because if I were around you, I don't think that I would want to do that. I think I just enjoy being in your company.
I get it.
Yeah,
Adam gets it.
I get
like
it.
people don't want to punch
Sean
me
would
in
be
the.
like
People,
a nice guy to sit and have a coffee with.
people don't want to punch me in the face like they do with Adam, but like
It's
there's
different.
something where people are like, "Oh, you big lug, get over here, you big lug." Like,
You
that
remember the
happens all
time when you still lived in Charlotte, Sean, and Adam was afraid you were going to punch him in the face at Christmas?
I totally was going to, but I think I've even brought this up on the show where I was like, Adam has enough bad in his life. He doesn't need the physical threat of me punching him in the face for being a complete prick.
I've got enough of that.
Can I tell you a secret, Sean?
Hmm.
In the back of my mind, I'm convinced I can take you in a fist fight.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Because I fight dirty, I twist nuts. Like nothing's off limit. Nipples gone. Like you're going to fight me, kiss your nipples goodbye.
Twist nuts.
Adios, muchacho. There goes.
I wasn't sure what this show was going to sound like, but I'm certain that I didn't think that was coming out of somewhere.
Nope.
But,
Number 10.
Thank you,
yeah.
Darren.
What is your number 10, sir?
My number 10, because I'm a fool for genre.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm a fool for genre that people don't necessarily knee-jerk think I'm a fool for.
I love
But
that Patsy Cline song,
No, I love mystery, dude. Like when I was in middle school, I fell in love with Sherlock Holmes, and Sherlock Holmes is still like Batman level to me. He's mythological.
Yeah.
But what I like about Agatha Christie is she makes it a little more modern. And Agatha Christie takes Sherlock Holmes and makes him in a way that you can relate to in 1950 or 1990 or 2020. And that's why Death on the Nile worked for me so much this year with Gal Gadot.
Mhm.
And my guy Kenneth Branagh,
Mhm.
and I really like. Now Death on the Nile I did not enjoy as much as Murder on the Orient Express, but I'm an Agatha Christie sucker. Like in wrestling they would call me a mark, or in the carnival world they would call me a mark, like the guy that's going to come play your game and lose all his money trying to win that teddy bear. Like that's me.
Mhm. Mhm.
But for Agatha Christie, I can't help it. If Kenneth Branagh keeps making theatrical releases, I'll go watch him, because I am a sucker for Agatha Christie. I mean, I'm more of a sucker for Sherlock Holmes, but he just gets a treatment where like there's no appeal. Like there's a Sherlock Holmes property every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Agatha Christie, you don't get that much high profile stuff. So Death on the Nile, number 10. The movie could have been a lot better, but I will say this is a movie watching year where my non-superhero movies, I just did not fall in love with anything.
Mhm.
So 10 on my list is different this year than it would have been on other years, but Death on the Nile was beautiful to look at. They changed the story in ways that weren't great. The overall plot was not as enjoyable as Murder on the Nile, but once again, great cast, beautiful to look at. Kenneth Branagh turns in a great performance. And it's just nice to see this first-rate horror writer who gets a second-rate theatrical treatment show that Hercule Poirot deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as Sherlock Holmes and Miss Marple.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, is it his name? Is that why people are all queer on him?
Because Hercule is like a Greek first name. Poirot is a French last name, but the guy's Belgium, and most of his adventures take place in other places.
he's
So
such
it
a
was
great
kind of
character.
Yeah, it was such an exotic type of writing in a time before video was common. So people would read Murder on the Orient Express to see what Turkey looks like from a train.
Mhm.
And people would read Murder on the Nile to find out more about Egypt. So it was like traveling if you couldn't afford to travel, plus you got a murder mystery. thrown in.
Fictional travel logs.
Whereas almost Sherlock Holmes almost exclusively took place in London, other than when he went to Rickenback Falls and died, but then he didn't really die because he's the first comic book character and they're never dead.
Mhm.
Well, number 9 leads into this Agatha Christie bit going on, and thankfully, in the one good thing I'd say that came out of this pushing of the podcast out a little bit from the recording here is I got to sneak in a screening of Glass Onion.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Can I pose a quick question here real quick?
Mhm.
If Glass Onion is number 9 on your list, you must have seen some good stinking movies this year.
Okay, I will put it to you this way.
Or number 9.
Yeah,
Because
no.
the monkey movie was number 10.
Yes, Monkey Movie was number 10. Okay, so I'll get into Glass Onion. I liked it. I don't know that I liked it as much as I liked Knives Out. I had a good time with it. Part of me, I know you shouldn't do this. This is not a thing that you should do when you go into movies. But sometimes with Ryan Johnson, for whatever reason, lately has kind of made me just go like, all right, what do you got for me? Like I come in with a weird chip on my shoulder. I don't know why.
Is it a little Star Wars kickback?
I don't know because I like that. Like I don't hate that as much as everyone else does. I don't.
It was my
particularly
favorite
love it.
movie of the new trilogy.
I
Yeah,
thought
me
it-
too.
It was it had a lot of interesting stuff in it, and but I for whatever reason I'm just kind of like even after Knives Out, and I like Knives Out a whole bunch.
We both know the reason.
Yeah.
Because you know that I am a massive Ryan Johnson fan, and so you're like, oh yeah, well I don't like him.
I do. I'm a fan. I just for whatever reason I just kind of came in. And at the start of Glass Onion, I was kind of like, all right, see, he's kind of doing what he does, and that's fine. And son of a gun, if like he pulls it off. He pulls off like it's not like the most daring, dastardly, like wild and crazy thing ever. But he has such a command over what he's doing in the story that he's telling and the way that he tells it. And he's got like what he did with Knives Out, which I had the same feeling about when I first saw that. I was just like, oh, okay, all right. It's a little bit of a deconstruction of and it's not quite that. It is, but it isn't.
Mhm.
And it goes to that. And I heard him talk about this in an interview recently, and that was his like Agatha Christie thing. And,
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I kind of like the tiny little things that I don't like about Knives Out and about Glass Onion are things that he liked about Christie's stuff, where she would, like you said, Bruce, Sherlock Holmes was kind of old school and everything. Agatha Christie put it in her proper times and whatnot. He's like, I want to do the same thing here and put it in proper times. So with Glass Onion, there's like the COVID reference, and then like the kind of electoral sort of stuff in the last one. So he likes it to be of the time, but I at the same I get that, but at the same time too, I feel like that takes away from the ultimate longevity of the piece. That's just a little nit that I
Oh,
have.
sir.
I will say there would be absolutely no Benoit Blanc without Hercule Poirot.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, Ryan Johnson's even said
Practically the
like,
same thing.
Yeah, it's almost the same person.
Yeah.
I totally disagree with you when it comes to that. I think that the way that because I'm gonna tell you, number 2, Glass Onion is my number 2 this year.
It's my number 2 this year.
I love this movie to death. I love it. I love that because they're not just throwing masks on there like all cutesy, like, oh look, we got masks on because it's 2020.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm not saying that
it's
doesn't
it's literally character development that they have these, like how they wear their masks. That like it informs the audience. This is who this person is. This is who this person is. It's really, really clever the way that the masks are used at the beginning of this movie.
I don't disagree, but I still don't.
They're informing us a lot more about who Benoit Blanc is, because they are building Benoit Blanc to be, pardon me for the obvious parallel, but to be like a James Bond who can go on and they can recast, and this guy can keep doing his thing. He is the first new serial detective we've probably had since I don't know when.
Well, we can get into that later, but there's so much to recommend this movie for me. I mean, shot composition, Ryan Johnson is a master of shot composition. And so like, he likes a lot of triangles in his stuff, and it's just so gorgeous, and the lighting is perfect. And
actually,
like,
I thought I dislike the cinematography on this one.
Oh, how dare you? We will be revisiting this at number 2 for 2 of us.
Okay.
Oh my word, sir! And also there is the probably one of the funniest moments in a murder mystery I've seen in a very long time, where Blanc solves the mystery once the game, the moment the game starts.
Yes, and I love the whole part about what does the winner get, like an iPad or something. Sure, you get an iPad. Here's your iPad. You ruined my weekend.
And learning who characters are, and relearning who characters are later.
It's like the Heathcliff theme song. It has a key change halfway through.
It does indeed. That's an excellent way of putting that.
Wow, but
it's one of those movies where it's kind of in a rare air for me, where I was looking so forward to seeing this movie, and not only is it great, but it exceeded my expectations, and it felt so good watching this movie and being like, man, this is the kind of thing that I need to start seeing more of again. Like,
and the whole Hugh Grant cameo was just such a nice way to like develop that character.
Yeah,
because it gave us what we always suspected about Sherlock and Watson.
Right, and then having the thing with where and there was a time where I would have I would have tried to put a bullet through Adam for this, but I know that Adam actually has a far more open mind about this sort of thing. Is just the pitch perfect Elon Musk.
He is a total Elon. I think he's a tiny bit more Mark Cuban.
There's a little. It's an amalgamation of a whole.
It is, but the way that this character is behaving is far more Elon Musk than anyone.
Yeah,
else.
the difference is Elon Musk was born with only $900 million, and he managed to turn it into $1 billion. This guy was not born rich, so he's a little bit more like some of the other guys, but he still stole his way to the top.
And having that thing where when you first meet him and he looks like a magician, God, it's just the best. With the vest and the long hair.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, Mark Cuban got $1 billion from something stupid, which they made fun of on Silicon Valley, because he basically came up with radio.com.
Right.
Where you go to a website to listen to the radio. And of course, Russ Heffernan, was that his name, Adam? On Silicon Valley?
Heffernan's right, I believe.
Yeah, I think his name was Russ. I can remember that for personal reasons. But anyway, he was like, yeah, I invented radio on the internet. And I kind of feel like this guy, like, he made $1 billion by letting kids buy NFTs. Like that's a little more Mark Cuban than it is Elon Musk, who was born very wealthy and just bought promising companies.
Yes.
Number 8.
You're number 9.
No,
9. I'm sorry. I finished.
No,
we've been going on 9 for so long. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we covered 9 and 2 2s. So
my number 9 was not released in 2022, but this is the year that I saw it, and that's the movie Palm Springs.
It sounds like
I still haven't seen that, but I've heard so many comparisons to Groundhog Day.
And the best part is that it lives in a world where Groundhog Day exists, which is lovely.
Oh, even better.
Yes, and they know the rules of Groundhog Day, which is another thing that's pretty great about this movie.
What about Happy Death Day, where the one girl said she'd never heard of Groundhog Day?
No,
yeah.
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 It was written by a comic book writer, by the way.
I love the first Happy Death Day.
Second one's fun too.
Well, the second one has that great line of who has a baby as a mascot. I just thought that was so funny. Palm Springs. It's one of those things. It's one of those movies where you know what it is.
Is it Andy Samberg?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's Andy Samberg. And the lady, I never remember this actress's name. I know her best when she was on 30 Rock and
Tina Fey.
No, and she had but Tina Fey's character, Liz Lemon, hires in a female writer who's like, like one of these like hipster comedy writers, like
Yeah.
bleeding edge comedy writers. And this actress plays that writer.
Kristen Manoli.
And she's great. And she was great on 30 Rock, and she's great in this movie. She is far better in her role than Andy Samberg is. And Andy Samberg's pretty good in this movie. But she is the linchpin of that movie. And I really enjoyed it. I thought that the hokum that they use at the end was great. I love the way they did that. And it makes sense and it's stupid at the same time, which is my favorite thing.
It's perfect. Yes.
And it's one of those movies, this movie and Glass Onion is another one of those movies that is a clever movie. It is not a smart movie. And there's a difference. The difference is I am a clever person. I am not smart. Bruce is a smart person. He is not clever.
Hey, now.
That's correct. That's the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I trust me, I would much rather be smart than clever, sir. So
Would a guy who's not clever say, pull my finger?
I don't even know how to respond to that.
One of the writers, the guy who wrote the screenplay for Palm Springs, also wrote a short that I believe Sean has to watch at some point, just based upon its name alone. He wrote and directed a short called Grill Dog.
Oh,
When two brothers sneak away from their family vacation resort, sibling rivalry sends them wildly off course. It's got a dog on the poster. So
One of the brothers gets turned into a dog.
boy, now that would make that movie even more interesting. 17 minutes and then he turns into a dog. Boy, you're moving fast when you're on that train.
but just to finish out Palm Springs. So like it's got a great soundtrack. It's a well-made movie, and it's fun and it's light, which I don't see it nearly enough of just like light comedy. It's nice.
Yeah, you got your J.K. Simmons and your Peter Gallagher's, and it's a good time.
It really is.
Number 9 for me is Violent Night. And I'm going to guess neither of you guys have seen this. Like Adam, you would have seen this if you were still working at the theater. But since you're not, I'm going to guess I'm the only one here who's seen Violent Night. And I went to see it in the theater with my father and my youngest son. So we had 3 generations of the Leslie clan sitting there clapping.
That's the Harbour movie,
laughing.
right?
Yeah, David Harbour plays Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Actual Santa Claus, not like a guy dressed like Santa Claus. And it's John Wick with Santa Claus. I mean, it's like Die Hard with Santa Claus, only it's John Wick with Santa Claus. What more can you ask for? And there's like a cute little girl who needs to be saved, and a mom and a dad that are despicable, and a grandma is Rebecca De Mornay, I think, and she's even more despicable. Oh. It's great, man. It is just top to bottom, right to left. No, it's Beverly D'Angelo plays the mom. That's who it is, Beverly D'Angelo. And right to left, top to bottom, this thing is just a lot of fun. It's every freaking trope you've ever imagined. And Santa Claus is just like the drunk guy on the other end of the phone who used to be a Viking conqueror who decides to save a family from a group of criminals. And John Leguizamo is the leader of those criminals. They got this other criminal who looks a lot like Professor Smoke from the All-American Spook Show, which is weird. And Santa Claus beats their butts. It is just fun. It's just fun of Santa Claus barely winning fight after fight. It's like what's that Indonesian movie Raid? It's like Raid.
Oh, the Raid.
Claus. Yeah, it's like that with Santa Claus. It's so good.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about it. I've heard a lot of positive stuff.
David Harbour hasn't done so well as a leading theatrical actor. I mean, he had that Hellboy movie. Yep. And then, he had a lot of fun as a supporting actor in Black Widow, but still not a great movie. This might finally be David Harbour's. Like, there could be Violent Night 12 in 13, 14, 15 years.
Adam, I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I never like when they try to make Santa badass and it's just done like no, he's actually a badass. Like it feels like those movies that they're making fun of in Scrooged.
Yeah.
Are either of you familiar with that Mel Gibson movie from like 2-3 years ago where he was Santa Claus?
No.
I think
so in the Mel Gibson movie, Walt Coggins. Is that the guy's name from Justified? You know who I'm talking about?
Walton
Yeah.
Goggins.
Yeah. So he is an assassin who's sent to the North Pole to kill Santa.
Mhm.
So Mel Gibson is Santa, and the two of them have to fight it out. Well, this is kind of like that, only instead of the killer coming to Santa's territory, Santa goes to the killer's territory.
Mhm.
And I kind of enjoy both of those.
Santa killing. Number 8 for me is one that I was kind of surprised by, and I feel like they should have done it with the previous sequel, but they did it all the way, and they eventually got around to it. But Scream 5.
Oh wow.
I was shocked.
Scream 5 is that? Are you talking about the Scream,
AKA
Legacy-
Scream.
Yeah, the Scream Legacy sequel that came out with Jenna Ortega.
No, this. Yes, yeah, okay. Well, I don't.
Yeah, that's the
Jenna
same
Ortega
girl.
was in
Yeah,
it, or
but
she
you
wasn't?
used a weird term that I'm like, wait a minute, what does that
Legacy
mean?
sequel. Legacy sequel is like when they used to call it a soft reboot.
Okay,
Now they call it a legacy sequel.
that
Yeah,
all right,
it's
that
like-
Still in the same
Wednesday.
continuity, but they're
Like
also
Wednesday.
they're retelling the story. But it's
gotcha.
The Force Awakens was the first legacy sequel, where
Yeah.
it's like a sequel, but it's a retelling Star Wars.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. Yeah, very much so. I was shocked. I thought it was pretty
Good movie. I watched it and liked it. Didn't make my top 10, but I liked it.
Yeah, for me, it was like this was just more of a I can't believe they pulled it off as well as they did kind of thing. And what they finally did in this movie, I was like, I was hoping that's what they were going to do with the fourth one, where it was just like, you think, everybody is on the table here, and then everyone makes it to the end, and you're like, well, who cares? If in this horror film I know that my main characters can't die, I don't give a crap. It's so boring and
Yeah.
everything. So when they were like, when they kind of reintroduced stakes into this game and everything, I was excited for it. And honestly, the fact that Neve Campbell's like, I don't want to be back for the next Scream movie unless they're paying me a whole bunch of money. And I'm like, I understand that you want to be paid money. I get that. But at the same time, too, I don't know that she even necessarily needed to be in this movie or subsequent sequels
It's like
of it.
I could see both sides. Like it would take a lot to get me to come out of retirement. Like you get real comfortable in retirement,
Mhm.
and suddenly you're like, well, I need at least 3 months to hit the gym at 6 a.m. every morning, and I gotta start eating totally different. I gotta do everything a little bit different. Yeah, it would take a lot of money to do that. Versus if you had just finished wrapping a film and you're already what the Hollywood folks call camera ready. But I'm like Brendan Fraser. I'm always camera ready. but it's different for ladies. Unfortunately, there's a double standard in Hollywood, which you may not know this,
What?
but it's true.
Explain.
Women got it tougher.
That was perfectly summed up.
They make less to do more.
But yeah, I don't want to like say, obviously the things that I liked in it, because that'd be kind of spoiling some stuff that happens within the movie itself. But
Can I ask you this? Because I have not seen the new Scream. How is kid from Quaid from
he's excellent. Like
The Boys.
Yes, that guy's always great.
all of the actors in this do a really great job. Everyone in here is pretty solid. You wouldn't necessarily point to anybody and go like, oh, that's the super weak link in this. Everybody's pretty solid. And
Yeah.
again, he's one of those that like, gosh, whatever that guy is in, he kind of plays a lot of the same sort of characters, but he's
well,
so
that was
good
my
at it.
question.
The one
That was my
problem-
question.
The one problem with his character for me, Sean, is
Mhm.
at this point he had gotten famous enough that
Mhm.
he and Jenna Ortega were more famous than the rest of the cast.
Mhm.
So you knew since he wasn't the victim, he may be the perpetrator. You know what I mean? It was like one
Sure.
of those things.
But
It's like a bunch of people you don't recognize, and then somebody you do, they're going to be around to the end.
and that's where my question lies, is because Jack Quaid usually plays like the aw shucks, hey, like easily likable, downtrodden guy. So to have him not being that guy by the end of this movie, I'm guessing he pulls that off well, just from you guys' response.
It's enough of the entire movie has enough little kind of nice red herrings, and it's enough little bits to like Glass Onion, where it's like, oh, here's just a nice little, could it be this person? Could it be this person? There's enough of this motivation for it to be this, but it
He's
might
every-
not be,
He's every bit as good as Corey Feldman was in that Friday the 13th movie he was in as Tommy.
First of all,
also really good.
that was actually,
Top
that was
notch.
one of his best performances.
It is. It's
Top
that and
notch.
Bad News Bears. Those are his best performances.
Are you sure Corey Feldman was in Bad News Bears?
He's in the sequel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because, he's awful good in Gremlins.
Sean, number 8.
Oh, I forgot he's in Gremlins.
Yeah, 5 seconds, but he's in it.
Yes.
He's dressed like a Christmas tree.
Number 8, right?
Yep.
Number 8. My number 8 is Top Gun: Maverick.
Ah, very nice.
I like
top grossing movie of the year, right?
It
like
is.
$1 billion movie.
I like this movie. I don't love this movie. I understand people's love for it. I understand people being surprised by this movie because it is very surprising how easy this thing is to watch. You know, Tom Cruise is one of those actors where you're just like, man, no one's ever going to say he half-assed this.
Nope.
Like, he's just that guy.
Now,
And making Star Wars on Earth is a really smart idea.
So when I talk about the quasi cocky guy, the bad guy, he was also in Scream Queens from Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
The guy with the smirk.
Yes, I know. I know who you mean.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember that actor's name, but he's going to come up in my number 8 whenever it's time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And is it time for that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Devotion. Have you guys heard? I don't even know if people heard of this movie. I went to see it with my dad. He came into town, for my grandfather's funeral, and we went to see a movie, and we went to see Devotion. And I had never even heard of the movie. It's based on a true story about one of the first black aviators to see action from the U.S. military in the Korean War in an integrated pilot thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as I see this guy, because I know him from Top Gun, where he plays a jerk, he plays a really jerk fraternity guy in Scream Queens.
Glenn
I assume
Powell.
he's going to be yes. And because of that smirk, I just assume he's going to be like the bad guy of the movie. And he is the hero of the movie in some ways, not in every way, but in some ways. And it totally threw me for a loop. So subverting my expectations, giving me a well-directed movie. I mean, the plot feels kind of like a Hallmark movie channel thing. I like it. It's pretty schmaltzy. It's pretty corny, but it's a true story. So it gets some forgiveness there, but it's this pilot who got shot down in the Korean War. He was a black guy and a pilot where all the rest were white guys. And this one white guy was a really good friend, and he's led the argument for years to try to get his remains returned from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the story of these two unlikely friends. And then it follows it up, with the standard over the closing credits, showing pictures of the real people and talking about everything that happened in DC in the 80s and the 90s, trying to get something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got me, man. Like I like to think I'm not a victim to the old saccharine schmaltzy stuff, but the combination of a true story and the time that I saw it and the year that I saw it, this is the aviation movie that comes in at number 8 for me instead of Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you got old the Hollywood's It Boy right now, Jonathan Majors as your other co-lead.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that
Kang.
Kang the Conqueror is the guy who dies, gets shot down.
Man,
I
when
would
I
say
saw
spoiler, but it's historical, so it's not really like if I said at the end of Lincoln got assassinated, would that be a spoiler?
Hey.
I've never seen Lincoln, so I don't know if that happens.
the old Bob Odenkirk stand-up routine where he's Lincoln for 5 minutes.
Oh no.
He goes, well, I must take my leave of you. I'm going to the theater this evening, where I hope I don't get shot in the back of the head by John Wilkes Booth.
That's great.
So good.
But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play?
Did you know before Daniel Day-Lewis got cast in The Last of the Mohicans, which I consider his big breakthrough role that made him the massive international star that he is now,
Mhm.
he was on stage in the role of Hamlet and had such a bad mental breakdown on stage, they had to replace him to finish out the show
Oh,
with his
wow.
understudy. And it's crazy to me that somebody could have a breakdown on stage before they made it big in Hollywood and still go on to make it big in Hollywood. Like you'd think you get kind of blacklisted or rated as undependable or something after that.
Well, I stand by Rob Bat when it comes to people who are method.
Oh yeah, Rob Bat.
Yeah. When they asked him if he was method playing Batman, and he said no, I just act. Most people who are method, they're never method about playing really nice people.
I'm more into Willem Green Goblin Lighthouse Defoe, whatever his name is.
Absolutely.
Is
Because
Jason
the dude
Sudeikis
is-
actually baking people cookies every day while he's
No,
going to
the
set?
dude doesn't even know he's making a movie. He doesn't even see the cameras. He's just being himself, and he is weird. I
Yes, he
shared
is a
an
weird
Uber
fellow.
with him once in Seattle. He is weird. Not a true story, by the way.
Number
you know why we were quiet there. I mean, it makes sense. That sounds like most of your stories.
I know. That's why I felt like I have to tell people it's not true because I have such weird true stories. Like
True.
there's the whole thing where if it's obviously a lie, you don't have to say it's not true. Like if I said,
True.
me and George Washington used to fish together on a blimp, I don't have to say that's a lie. But it's like there is just enough possibility that I was in an Uber with Willem Dafoe that I feel like I need to tell people it didn't happen.
There is.
If Willem
Especially
Dafoe
because I
got
threw in Seattle. You know, it's like a random city.
still plenty of legroom for Willem Dafoe in the back row. Did you know that? He's a short guy. He's a little guy.
Hollywood loves to cast Funko Pops. Didn't we talk about that last week?
Very much.
True, they do.
All right.
Number 7.
Number 7, the next couple of films are actually going to be all movies that really surprised me, and that's going to be most of the theme for this top 10 for me this year, is movies that I was just like, oh, not expecting that at all. Number 7 is Smile, the new horror film that's out.
Did not make my top 10 list, but I love that movie.
Would you call it an honorable mention?
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I got some honorable mentions at the bottom as well for all if we
Me
need to
too.
talk about some more
Me
stuff.
too.
But Smile, I was like, I knew nothing of the movie other than the fact that like we had the Smile poster, which was like a smiling face being zipped up in a body bag. We had that poster at work. That was it. I didn't see a trailer. I may have seen like maybe 10 seconds of a trailer where the first thought is like, oh, it's a little like It Follows, which is a fantastic movie, real fantastic. And so while watching this, I was like, okay, I think I got this figured out. This is what this is going to be. It's a lot like that movie, but different. And then it changes, and then it kind of changes again. And like, there's just something about it where I was like, by the end, my jaw was open, going, "What am I watching now? What is this?" Because if you can sit me down at the beginning of this movie and go, "What do you think's the craziest endpoint that this thing could have?" If you'd have shown me that, I'd have been like, well, that's not going to be one of the options that happens because that's just too bizarre. And no, it happens in this movie. And it comes out of left field. And I'm just like, okay, good on you, movie, for shocking me and giving me something that I had no idea about. And again, I don't want to go in too much, but Smile's fantastic.
Yeah, I sang its praises after I saw it at the theater. I came back to the show and talked about it, but it did not make my list, but it's a good show.
Yeah. Sean, what do you got? 7.
Number 7 for me was the biggest surprise, the second biggest surprise of the year for movies that we watched on the podcast, which is RRR. I was so shocked by this movie.
So I didn't put that on the list because I didn't know if it was eligible if we covered it on the show, but that would have been on my list for sure. I love it.
Same. I think I would have gone the same.
It's it was one of those movies where if you're going to tell me you're going to sit here and watch a 3.5 hour long movie and it's going to be great. And it's a Bollywood. No, it's not a Bollywood movie. It's the other kind. Tollywood movie. I would be like, yeah, good luck with that guy. But my word, what a great movie. So I have that at number 7.
Yeah, I think that was the one that really shocked us all. It was just like, okay, let's give this a shot. And then, whoo, holy moly, what an insane, just what a great find for this year too.
Yeah.
So number 7 for me is The Northman. Did you guys watch The Northman at all? It's Nicholas Winding Refn, maybe?
Yeah, it is.
Or is it Eggers?
That's
no,
Eggers.
It's
Eggers.
It's Eggers?
It's Eggers. I'm sorry. I got that wrong because I was thinking like the Valhalla movie is the one that was Refn maybe. But anyway, it's Eggers, The Northman. It is the purest version of Hamlet ever told. Like it's way more accurate to what Hamlet should be than Why the Last Man is. And it's because Hamlet was the prince of the Danes. And if you know anything about Denmark, you know they were Vikings. So this is set in the late 9th, early 10th century with Amleth, who Amleth is the Viking folklore character who his name was rearranged to be Hamlet. And it's his story, which involves revenge in Iceland. And, much like Violent Night, I love these revenge stories. It's got Anya Taylor-Joy as a Slavic bitch is what they keep calling her. She's like a Slavic witch. And it's just a lot of fun, man. And it's got one of those Skarsgård guys who's not the, not the two that I think of most often. It's another one, Alexander.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but it was It was a really, really well shot movie. A little too long. If it was shorter, it might have been higher than number 7. But I just can't help but say, as far as Hamlet goes, there's a lot of versions of Hamlet. Most of them, I can't make it to the end. But The Northman, the best, the purest, my favorite version of Hamlet ever told, because it's got that early Middle Ages edge to it that I'm a sucker for.
I walked out of The Northman.
Yeah, I couldn't finish it.
Mostly because
Really, what turned you off, guys? I mean, I think it's a good movie. I'm not lying. Like, I think it's a good movie.
the reason I left was because like 2 guys snuck into the theater and sat behind the row that I was in and were yelling and just being obnoxious. I got
So
up, I
that's
yelled at
not
them.
the movie's
No,
fault.
that's not the movie's fault. But it was true. I didn't lie.
Okay, so what did you not like about it, Sean?
For me, it's the pacing of it is so slow that I kept passing out watching it.
If you think the pacing of The Northman is slow, I invite you to watch Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet from the 90s.
Oh, I've seen that too, and I fell asleep watching that as well.
Yeah, it's the longest cinematic version of Hamlet ever made. But I like The Northman. I really do. It's got magic. It's got fighting. It's got Vikings. It's got revenge. It's like, it's my story, but I can really enjoy a deliberately paced story, which some people, I mean, like I know you like beautiful cinematography, Sean.
Yeah.
So for me, there was some beautiful imagery here, but it's like that beauty in looking at a landfill with all the seagulls flying around. And it's
Right.
not the everyday beauty. It's like the beauty that you see when you got no choice but to find beauty in the little bit that life gives you.
Well, and that's
It's got that
kind of
beauty.
and you know this about me too, Bruce, is that like if there is like I hate when everything is awful in movies.
Yeah.
Like I need something to be able to like grab onto.
So is it okay if I spoil? I mean, it's Hamlet. So I
Yeah,
can
it's
spoil the
Hamlet.
ending a little bit, right?
I don't see why not.
They have a big sword fight over an active volcano that reminds me so much of Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight.
Oh, that's
So-
at the end of the movie?
Yeah, like they are fighting around lava everywhere. And it's just all I can't help but go straight to Anakin and Obi-Wan, particularly when you know the dynamics of the family relationships
Yeah.
in this movie. So
Yeah.
it's like uncle / stepfather fighting, nephew / stepson, who's also a slave who is also out to kill him. And they're fighting around freaking lava everywhere. It's great.
Mhm.
Lava everywhere.
And you may not know this about me, but I'm partial to swords and sword fights.
Oh, that is surprising.
That's why I got not one, but 2 swords for Christmas.
I'm getting 2 swords for Christmas. You remember that song from the 60s?
Holding
All I
2
want for
knives, and I gotta
Christmas
tell
are my
you.
2 nice swords. My 2 nice swords. My 2 nice swords.
Clanging it around.
Number 6. the portress.
Number 6 again was another one that like I knew a poster. I think I knew one cast member, and that was it. And so I knew nothing of the plot, just this red poster. And I was like, all right, let's check it out. It's now on HBO. And Barbarian? kind of
Yeah.
blew me away. That was another one where it was just like the less you, and I don't even know how much I would really even want to tell you what the story is because it's
Don't
like,
tell me because I want to, because
Yeah.
I do want to watch
it's
it.
one
All
of
I
those
know-
that like you don't the less you know, the better.
Nice.
Adam actually texted me or something and said, I need to watch Barbarian. And I haven't watched it yet, but my wife watched it and it was not her thing.
Oh, I can
She thought
imagine.
it was a little too weird. So it makes me think I'm going to love it, but I haven't seen it.
Here's the IMDb, and this is one of the best IMDb things that I've ever heard because it just does it. A woman staying at an Airbnb discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems.
And just
That's
like
it.
the
That's all
Northman,
I'll tell
isn't there, just like the Northman, isn't there a Skarsgård in this movie?
Yeah, exactly. Bill Sarsgaard is in this movie.
I think I shall
he
never
it?
see a movie without a Skarsgård or 3.
That's true. Yeah, but Bill Sarsgaard and Justin Long are the 2 people that you'll know. But I was shocked. I was shocked at how good it was. And again, another thing of like when you sat down and you saw the first like 20 minutes of it, and then you said, what do you think is going to be in the rest of this movie? You're not going to come up with what happens. And to me, that's so much fun.
Nice.
So that's number 6, Barbarian.
Nice.
Jonathan?
For me, number 6 is Confess Fletch.
I Haven't seen this one either, man. There's so many movies I haven't seen, but John Hamm as Fletch.
Yes.
I think that's a good fit.
It's pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good.
Now, the problem with me is I don't know the Fletch novels. I only know Chevy Chase's really good movie Fletch and kind of not so really good Fletch Lives.
Let me put it to you this way. Clearly on Fletch Lives, Chevy Chase was given a lot of notes.
Yeah, because from what I understand, Fletch Lives is not based on a novel. It's just an original movie.
Yeah, it's original. It's like kind of half of two different books, but I love the character Fletch in the novels. It is one of my favorite characters of all time. He is the worst. He is a miserable, terrible person who is altruistic. If both things can happen, it
definitely can.
This is that character. Basically, the character of House MD is basically Fletch, just with a medical background,
and that's because they're both heavily influenced by Sherlock Holmes, who was a non-neurotypical detective.
Right, and so you have this character Fletch, and this is the closest we are ever going to get to the actual character in the novels, because Hamm's playing it really close to what the novels are. The problem is that there is so much charm in John Hamm just personally that like it's not like you can shut off the charm machine. Like he's just so bloody charming. And the character Fletch is also, it's just that he can't get away with absolute murder like John Hamm could. And so like the character in Confess Fletch, the John Hamm character, like he's tap dancing through this thing. Yeah. And you don't feel the stakes like you do when you're reading the book or listening to the audiobook.
Now, I once again haven't read the books, haven't listened to the audiobooks, but I've heard them described to me as you're only pulling for Fletch because he's the lesser of two evils, and it makes you like really pulled into the story because you're like, well, you find yourself compromising on your own values as you're reading the stories if it was real life. And that's what really causes some people to be attached to it.
It's unlike the writing of these books is unlike anything else I've seen, because it doesn't feel like there's any forward progress happening until you realize, oh my God, like so much has happened in this book already, because it feels so breezy.
It's like the opposite of The Big Lebowski, where you feel like a lot's happening, then at the end you stand back and realize nothing happened.
Right.
It's like the opposite of that.
It is like that. And that is one of the things that this movie gets right, is that it feels, when you're watching this movie, it feels like 10 minutes have gone by, and actually 45 have gone by, which is what the Fletch novels feel like to me.
I'm going to have to dive into those one of these days.
Well, if you have Audible, all of the Fletch books are available to members for free.
Oh, nice. I did not know that. I got to take advantage of that before it goes away. That stuff goes away really quick.
Yes. Yep, it sure does.
Now, number 6 for me is where the Bruce kind of comes out. Like once we're starting to get closer to the top, we're going to get a few that are just like, yeah, only Bruce would put this high on any list. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Number 6 for me. I can't help it. I enjoyed every moment of that movie. You know, I'm like your stereotypical Gen X guy that in college in the dorm room, I was sitting down in, because back then you didn't have TVs in your own room. Right. So you had to go down to like this community area down by this front desk where guests signed in and crap. And they check you for your room key and your ID and stuff so you get in. You sit down there and there's this one big TV. It's like a hotel lobby with one cathode ray tube TV up in the corner. And you got to go get the lady behind the desk to change the channel for you. And we'd sit down there and we'd watch Beavis and Butthead. And I loved Beavis and Butthead. I went to the theater, saw Beavis and Butthead Do America. I always had kind of a Chelsea Clinton thing after watching that. And then I watched Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, and it was just the smile I needed that day. Like, of all the Gen X things to get a reboot, I didn't think it would happen to Beavis and Butthead. And when it did happen, I showed up and said thank you. And it's number 6 of the year for me for non-superhero. Only animated movie on my list.
I think we even like almost, or at least I toyed with the idea because they do some comic booky sort of stuff in the movie.
There's multiverse. There's a
Multiverse
multiverse
sort of thing in there. I'm like, we could almost squeeze that in.
A couple of characters very clearly are made to look like Uatu the Watcher.
Oh, very. Which is great. Smart Beavis and Butthead who look like Uatu, which is like them just like actually speaking intelligently but still sounding like Beavis and Butthead.
It's like Beavis and Butthead with an IQ of 100 sound really smart compared to what you're used to.
Oh, yes. We are the smartest ones there are.
This has sucked more than anything else has ever sucked before. Did you know that they were going to have the new series before you watched the movie? Bruce?
No, I did not. And I haven't watched the new series at all.
The reason why I'm asking you that question is because I did know that before I saw the movie. And don't get me wrong. Of all the stupid things of the 90s that are unimportant, Beavis and Butthead is the most important to me.
Nice.
I really like. I think that Mike Judge is just touched. Like it's like he's magically touched when it comes to characters, and like he just has a thing. Like if he didn't look the way he did, he would totally have been on Saturday Night Live, and he would have been the new Dana Carvey. Like it's just who he is.
He could have been Seth MacFarlane in another world.
Right. And he's actually far more talented than Seth MacFarlane, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we live in a country that doesn't love the Yuggos.
Yes, it's true. And so that's why you got Mike Judge. And I love Mike Judge to death. And so when they were making a new Beavis and Butthead movie, I was like, well, then if Mike Judge is behind this, then I definitely want to see this. So I saw it. I like it. But knowing that the way that things end up, you could have guessed it a million miles away, knowing that a new TV show was coming.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, and I look at it in retrospect, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't watch Beavis and Butthead for the thrilling plot twists.
No, I know, and but again, of all the dumb things that came out of the 90s, Beavis and Butthead is the smartest.
Mike Judge, a great oeuvre, but I still say Beavis and Butthead is his best work.
Oh, I disagree. I think Office Space is his best work.
I love Office Space, but Beavis and Butthead, for me, it just goes a little bit further. I've been a loser kid on the couch, and I've been a guy working in a cubicle. And out of those two, just Beavis and Butthead has the advantage of like the bite size. It's always there and it's going on. Whereas Office Space is 2 hours, and you got to kind of wait like at least 6 months before you watch it again.
Yeah, you can have 10 minutes worth of fun of Beavis and Butthead on YouTube.
It's true.
Number 5, this movie I liked well enough when it started, the first time I saw it and everything, and I was like, okay, and it grew on me more and more. Jordan Peele's Nope. Number 5.
Good movie. Saw it. Was unsatisfied with the ending, so it didn't make my list.
I've got it in honorable mentions because of that ending.
I totally understand. I tell you what, one of the things that shocked me about this, because if you guys remember, I may have talked about it in like a pre-show or something. Jordan Peele, it feels like he was asking himself, can I be Steven Spielberg at some point? And in a weird way, he kind of is, because you know what I do when I'm driving down the road now? I'm looking at clouds. Like you do with Jaws. When you look out in the ocean, you think about sharks because Jaws has planted that into your brain. Now, when you're driving and you see a whole bunch of clouds, I can't sit there and tell you that now I don't think like, a spaceship could be behind that kind of thing. I thought it was a really great sort of thing. Makes me look at the sky like Jaws makes you look at the ocean.
And I have never watched Key and Peele until this week.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really?
So I went back and checked out like the first 2 episodes of Key and Peele.
Whoa.
And I got to say, Jordan Peele, like on the interstitials, not in the skits, but in the interstitials, he just seems like a director. Like you see Michael Keegan Key, he seems like an actor. Jordan Peele with his glasses and his hat, he's a little more soft spoken, but you can tell there's a lot going on behind his eyes, kind of thing. And he just seems like, he seems like the Steven Spielberg, or I'm trying to think of maybe great African-American directors. He seems like a Steve McQueen and not to be confused with the Steve McQueen.
I think
action
he's.
hero of
I
the
think
60s.
he's. I'll say it. I think he's better than Steve McQueen. Just mostly because Steve McQueen movies always just make me want to put a gun in my mouth.
Well,
And
and
I-
that's that's the thing with me is that I love people who can make movies, not films.
Yeah.
I'm a much bigger fan of Jordan Peele than I am of Steve McQueen, like massively so.
Okay, I was just trying to think of it like an African American director that wasn't stereotypical or something. I don't know
Sure.
what the right word is.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he also gives me a lot of Tyler Perry energy, but I feel like if I say that, then I'm just being racist. You know what I mean? So it's,
DM
it's
Do you
like
mean
a-
personally or?
yeah, I mean, like just the energy when I'm seeing him sit up there talking, I'm like, this is a guy who can act and he can perform in front of the camera, but his real love is telling stories. You know, it's
Mhm.
just like that's the input that I get. Like even though he's in front of the camera and he does great work on Key and Peele, I can tell he is really in love with creating the narratives behind the skits. Like
Mhm.
that's at least from 2 episodes. I mean, who knows what happens
When
after
you-
that? It just
The thing that happens when you watch that show is that made me so think that he was going to be absolutely fine when it came to cinema is there are so many cinematic looks and stuff in that show. It's never shot lazily. It is
Yeah.
like they really go in and try to make each sketch look like something very
Yeah.
specific, and it's just like he takes the time. You could tell that they care. So I was like, when they go, he's going to be
they
in that, I'm
did
like, yeah, he'll be fine.
they did a Super Bowl shuffle sketch where they made it look so much like television in the 80s. I mean, they did a great job on that one. Number 5 for me. Is it my turn or is it Sean's?
My turn, I believe.
Go ahead.
This is the one that I couldn't remember if it was made this year or last year, but I definitely saw it this year, which is Licorice Pizza.
Oh, I have not seen that one. I saw The French Dispatch. Those were 2 movies in my head I wanted to see together.
Yeah, those are
Mhm.
last year's,
And-
but yeah. Mhm.
I saw French Dispatch. I did not see Licorice Pizza, but it's still on my to watch list.
I highly recommend it, and especially if you're trying to find something to watch with your wife, that is definitely a great movie to see together.
And my daughter got her first record player. She's decided she's into vinyl. She's got some old 78s from her great grandmother of like big band music.
Wow.
So I think she might enjoy the idea of a record store story.
But it has nothing to do with that,
Yeah.
really.
Okay, well, I'll watch it first. I'll tell her all about
What
John
are her
Peters.
thoughts on waterbeds?
See, John Peters is why I want to watch it.
You do need to watch it
well,
for that.
John Peters is one of the most amazing parts of
Yes,
the movie.
that's why I
for
want to
sure.
watch it because, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen his work.
He's a supervillain, that guy, like real life supervillain, John Peters.
Superman lives. What happened?
There's something about this movie. I highly recommend you don't watch this movie around your kids. So,
Okay, I'll do it. I'll watch it on my own first.
yeah, it's great. It's one of those movies also that sticks to you, where later on you think about it more. And that's not to say that it's some deep philosophical thing. It's not like that. It's just a very well made movie by somebody who knows what they're doing. And I just love it to death. I love it.
And just to see, like, a little spark. I mean, it's not the same, obviously, but the little spark of something behind the eye of Cooper Hoffman, that reminds you of Dad Philip Seymour Hoffman, that you can't. There's something.
Yeah,
there's just something great
I-
about it.
I'm afraid it would bring a little bit of a tear to my eye. You know what I mean? Like I heard, oh geez, who was it? It was Leonard Nimoy was on set for the new J.J. Abrams Star Trek back when it was made.
Mhm.
And he saw Kyle Urban.
Keith.
I get
Carl.
Urban.
Keith.
Keith
No, Keith
Urban's
is the
country
singer.
guy.
Yeah,
I know.
Are we going to bring up urban contemporaries from 10 years ago that pissed Sean off? Anyway, Carl Urban, was such a good Bones McCoy
Yeah.
that it made Leonard Nimoy cry because he
Oh,
remembered
wow,
the original
really?
actor. Yeah.
Wow.
And I could picture a little bit of that happening with Phil Hoffman's skit.
There's some
The-
moments like when he's on stage and stuff like that. That's what kind of did it for me. I don't know why.
The difference, though, Bruce, is that there is something that is not so self-assured in the performance that
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman has. So that is missing from Cooper's performance, but it doesn't take away because it's kind of what the movie is. Like the movie is
Yeah.
messy and great.
Man, I want to watch it so badly. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet. It's not like I don't have time.
Looks like it's on Prime, so
I think it is.
Yeah, it was on HBO Max for a while, which is when I wanted to watch it, but I can watch it anywhere.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me is a movie that's already been mentioned. Top Gun Maverick came up pretty high on my list. We enjoyed it. We went to see it as a family back in the summer, and it's fighter pilots fighting other fighter pilots. I mean, what more can you say about Top Gun Maverick? It's a nice, easy formula. It had some stupid stuff, like instead of volleyball, they were playing something called two-way football. The difference is people have actually played volleyball on the beach. Two-way football doesn't exist.
I have so many questions about two-way football.
Like, couldn't they have just played soccer? Like couldn't they have played one-way football? I understand you want to do an homage to the volleyball scene, but you can't just do beach volleyball, which makes sense because it's 2-on-2, which is what the fighter pilot thing is. But you know what? You just play some soccer, some football. You don't have to make up some stupid sport that nobody even knows who won or lost.
nah, you need that bounce ball. One of them games or something that you seen pitched on Shark Tank that don't nobody ever buy.
But the movie won me over with Val Kilmer's involvement because, I mean, despite all the horrible stories you can read about Val Kilmer, I'm a 90s kid. I'm an 80s kid. I'm a sucker. I loved Top Secret. I liked him as Batman. I like him in that Thunderheart movie. I mean, I'm a Val Kilmer fan from the late 80s. So
What about Heat?
yeah, good movie. Darn good movie. I kind of forget he's in it because there's some other famous people in it, but good movie.
Yeah, it's pretty tough when you're just like, well, you're opposite Robert De Niro. Crap. Well, at least I'll be the other big guy. Well, we've also got Al
We got
Pacino.
Al
You got to be
Pacino.
putting me on.
And Harvey Keitel, and we got Harvey Korman. We got another Harvey. Harvey Dent. Number 4, Adam.
Number 4 for me was Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story.
Oh, I forgot about Weird.
Solid. It's number 3 on my list. A little spoiler warning.
I was again, another one I knew nothing going in other than Daniel Radcliffe, and that it was like a biopic that's not exactly the same old sort of thing that we've been used to seeing. And in a world where like Walk Hard exists, that's pretty cool to do, to have another one of these, biopic movies that doesn't do that exact same thing again. It's great.
But unlike Walk Hard, Dewey Cox not real. Weird Al is, which is what makes this so fun.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised it wasn't my number 1 because this is the Bruceest movie of the year.
It's kind of true. Yeah.
But it's not my number 1, but a great movie, man. I love Daniel Radcliffe as the jacked Weird Al, which makes us all think of that UHF Rambo gag.
That they never do. And that would be, if I was Daniel Radcliffe, I'd be like, you guys realize, you notice I didn't have to put on a fake suit when I was shooting the guns around, right? You realize that this is all
There's
real.
nothing like having a 6'4" real human portrayed by a 4'4" actor.
It's a little reverse kind of Hobbit thing going on.
He had those Frankenstein shoes that made him a full 4 inches taller.
Sean, what you got for 4?
Number 4 for me is the movie Kimmy. Love this movie.
I am so not familiar with this.
It is a lady trapped in house movie. And
is the lady Zoe Kravitz?
yes,
correct.
I am familiar with it. It was on HBO.
Yes. And it's one of those movies where if you have any other filmmaker making this movie, I can't imagine that it would be nearly as entertaining. It's just so rock solid. It's well acted. It's well written. It's well directed. It is tense. It is fun. It is they set everything up for you, and then when it pays off, you're like, totally forgot about that. It's really great. I loved this movie, and it's just a little tiny thing because that's all Soderbergh seems to make now. And I don't care. I'll watch it.
The best part about that is, though, like, he just seems like, I'm going to do what I want to do. If it gets big, it gets big, and that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I love that that's the path that he's on now. He just goes like, I'm just creating
He
some
can
good
always
stuff.
direct another commercial, man. The dude just likes doing what he does, from what you guys tell me.
Oh, I
It's
mean,
true.
yeah, you've retired and then jumped right back in. I was like, you can't keep that man down. I knew that wasn't going to be the case. But him directing, David Koepp writing and stuff, it's a really good combination for Kimmy.
Yeah, love that movie.
And a pandemic special that one was.
It was.
Bruce Foa.
Number 4 for me is Terrifier 2.
I didn't get to see Terrifier 2.
Terrifier 2 is like Terrifier 1, only more terrifying.
On steroids, on crack.
I didn't even know that this franchise existed until my 15-year-old son Silas said, "Dad, take me to the theater to see Terrifier 2." I said, "I've never seen Terrifier 1." He says, "You need to watch it."
And I watch it and I go, "Oh my God, what is my child watching?"
We're going to the theater, son. We're going to the theater, son. I watched it on like Tubby too. So Terrifier 1, the claim is it was made for like 30 grand. And it looks like something that was made for about $250,000 to $500,000. I mean,
it's not like Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I mean, it looks so good for 30 grand that I think they have to be lying.
Well, they were all, from what I'm to understand, I think a good many of them, like a lot of these other kinds of movies and stuff, were a lot of craftspeople that are kind of like, well, we'll just kind of use our skills here to kind of be the money, as it were. Well,
they claim that Terrifier 2 cost $250,000 that was raised entirely on Kickstarter. This looks like a $3 to $4 million movie. And a $3 to $4 million movie is still extremely low budget. So don't get me wrong here, but this does not look like it. Like I've seen what gets done on $50,000-$60,000 budgets. This does not look like a $250,000 movie. Yeah, this looks like a $3 to $6 million movie.
I mean, my guess was based upon the first movie, they probably spent at least, $10,000 worth of blood for a sequel.
And this Terrifier clown is a new horror icon that's just waiting to be discovered. I feel like it hasn't quite been discovered yet, but it's going to be everywhere soon. And they introduce in Terrifier 2 this creepy like 9-year-old girl clown who is just crazy and murderous too.
Oh man, creepy child clown. I was like, you're putting together a lot of words I don't like together.
And then they've got like this female protagonist who is a lot like Valkyrie from the Thor sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And my goodness, it's just this perfect combination of perfect stuff. And it has got the kind of gore you couldn't handle, Sean. Like if you didn't like Ichi the Killer, you should not go anywhere near.
Oh, I've already been warned. There's no way.
Yeah. Like there's a part where he just like cuts and he just cuts this lady up a lot. He cuts her in a lot of different ways with blades and stuff. She's bleeding everywhere. He leaves and she's like, "Oh my goodness, thank God he left." Then he comes back in with bleach and salt that he pours in all her open wounds.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so that's Terrifier 2, number 4 on my list, because I got a soft spot for horror movies. This is the only horror movie on my list, but it's pretty high at number 4, and it is the best horror movie of 2022 by bar none.
I take umbrage, and that's where we'll get to number 3, which is actually the only time I'm kind of cheating a little bit here, but they're practically the same thing, same director, same star, so I'm going to count them. X and Pearl.
You're putting 2 in 1 here.
Yeah, because I
didn't see Pearl. I considered putting X on the list, but I still got this problem with Jenna Ortega's role for some reason. Like I still feel very unjustifiably
because she looks like she's
fatherly.
15 and involved in the pornography industry. So you're just like, I don't like that. That feels uncomfortable.
There's this weird part of me that feels like I'm her dad still, and I don't know why.
But yeah. What Ty West is doing here, and I've liked Ty West for a long time, and he's of the kind of the horror directors that are kind of like right around my age and everything. He's one of those guys that's always been very distinct. He's a slow burn kind of guy. Like House of the Devil takes a long time to kind of get there. Innkeepers takes a long time to kind of get there. And these movies are a little bit like that, but there's still a little bit more action and gore and stuff in these. But X is kind of like, think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but instead of going to visit relatives, we're going to shoot a porno.
Yep. That's exactly what I thought when I saw it. It's a retelling of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't know what I was getting into when I watched it.
And then Pearl takes place, so X takes place in 1979, right? Then Pearl, which again comes out 6 months later, which they shot at the same time as they shot X.
And I got no problem with Mia Goth and her performance, so I think I'd probably like Pearl better because it's going to be built around Mia Goth. And Jenna Ortega just felt like the central character in that first one when she's not.
Yeah. But Pearl takes place in 1918, and it's shot like a 50s Technicolor film, right?
Oh,
But
interesting.
still very horror related and everything. Mia Goth gives a monologue in this thing that like should at least nail her an Oscar nomination. She may not win, but she should at least. You play that scene and it's like, yeah, that she deserves to be at least in the running for Best Actress with this. But yeah, so that's X and Pearl. Both
She'll get a Fangoria Blood Award or something.
no, she'll get something as far as she'll get several Fango Awards this year, I would imagine. But X and Pearl, check them out.
Sean Lee Shawnington.
Number 3 for me is the movie Prey.
Ah, yes. Prey.
So
Forgot about Prey.
I wanted to. That was another one I wanted to put on my list, but because we had covered it on the show, I didn't know if it was eligible. So I endorsed that selection 100%.
Prey is now the second best Predator movie, and it's not even close.
Yeah,
It is.
I would dare say it might be the best.
Well, yeah, man, you can't. The original started the whole thing. Like there would be no Prey without the original one, and that's kind of how Although you look at something like, you know what, I'm literally arguing with myself right now. Well, Addams Family Values is better than Addams Family, like you
Yeah,
had said
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, or Aliens, Alien, depending on what your preference in movie is, like what's your favorite. Anyway,
It's like Dumb and Dumber versus Dumber and Dumberer.
Yeah.
Smart, not clever. So the Prey is like one of those movies where it seems like a good premise to a movie, and if this was made by if this is a big gigantic budget movie, it would be one of those things where they were going to totally botch it, where it would feel like a Transformers movie to me, where it's just dumb and stupid, and you had this great premise and you totally botched it. And Prey is none of those things. It has got a great premise. The way that they parse everything out is amazing. Amber.
I love that lead actor that you're about to say. Amber Midthunder from Legion is what I know her from.
She's amazing in it. Everything about this movie is just terrific. And if we weren't in such a good movie year, it would probably be number 1 for me. But there's 2 other movies to me that just surpass it just slightly.
You think this is a good movie year? That's funny because I started off with my little presentation about how I felt weak about this year, but that might have just been my own experience and not, cinema.
It's funny, man, because everything about our dumb podcast colors everything that I do now. And so
same here.
So when, you're watching something just for enjoyment of thing, it seems like a vacation,
And it doesn't suck you
Yes,
like,
it
oh, I
does.
just won the lottery.
And so when you get to see things like this, we were really lucky that we saw Prey and we got to review it on the show, but I wouldn't call that a superhero movie or
Yeah, definitely not, man. We just, sometimes it is a comic book movie.
it is.
There's
It's definitely a
connection.
comic
Superhero.
book movie. It's just not a superhero movie. And so it was just, but because of the joy that I get now from watching, of movies that aren't superhero movies, I enjoy them that much more now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Devotion makes my list now. It would not have 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, number 3.
Number 3 for me is something we've already talked about. The Weird Al story.
Awesome. I totally forgot about it.
I fully expected this to be my number 1. And then when I made my list, I was shocked that it wasn't my number 1. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't end as strongly as it could have. It's got a lot of laughs. It feels like something that almost should be like a TV show, like the Goldbergs instead of a movie. But number 3 is not too shabby. I just really expected it to be my number 1 until I started looking at my list, and it just couldn't be.
I think that's fair. Number 2, talked about previously, but yeah, I came back to it so many times that I had to put it up higher than I thought I initially would. But Top Gun Maverick.
Oh
good
wow, you
movie.
liked it that much?
I
didn't
just,
expect that.
I saw it in the theater and really liked it. I think I saw it twice in the theater, and then I bought it on Blu-ray and watched it at home. Like again, it's just one of those. It's over 2 hours, but still just like cranks and cooks and does everything that it's supposed to. And it was that thing that kind of made you go like, oh yeah, you remember what kind of movies used to be like? That's
Yeah.
it gave you that
It's
nice,
true.
great movie
And
nostalgia again.
It's got some of that Tom Cruise mystery to it, like the enigma of Tom Cruise, where we all kind of don't like him, but we love him.
There's also
Yeah.
there's always a little bit of magic still in that
He-
guy.
he's
You know
like,
what I mean?
He's like the last Clark Gable, the last Cary Grant. He is like
Yeah.
the last Hollywood guy that he could make a movie about getting an apartment with a woman 30 years younger than him and acting like they both graduated college at the same time, and we would all go see it. Like,
Yeah,
he's
we'd
that
be
kind
like,
of
yeah,
guy.
that's fine, that's cool. All right.
Yeah, he is the last Cary Grant.
Have you seen how charismatic that guy is? Of course you buy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Top Gun Maverick. Again, I was shocked at how much I liked it, and for a movie that, for all rights, should be awful. It should
Yeah.
be like, if
Yeah,
y'all,
it
"Hey,
should be."
let's do this movie 30 years on. What a horrible idea that sounds like, but sure shooting. They pulled it off and did it as well as they could have.
And let's take 40-year-old Miles Teller and act like he's a kid.
But at the same
Like
time,
not only is Tom Cruise damn near 70, we got Miles Teller pretending he's Goose's kid,
Well-
who, like, if you can do the math, he's way too old to be like with this
well,
group
they
of people.
they did push his age a little bit in the film on purpose for that, because they do mention how like Maverick held him back or whatever because he didn't recommend his thing.
Held him back 15 years.
That's they don't quite say 15 years, but they're like, well, they
just-
held him back so he couldn't get into the thing earlier.
Just look at
than
the
he
age
wanted.
difference of Glenn Powell and Miles Teller in real life, and then you've got your answer.
It's fine.
The thing what I'm interested in learning is like maybe it's a kind of a thing where like you hire Miles Teller in a movie where Tom Cruise is supposed to be playing much younger, and so is Miles Teller.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the kind of thing like when you're making a Sylvester Stallone movie and everybody's got to be short in it.
Yeah, everybody's going to be a little bit older.
Yeah, instead of being short, you just got to be older.
You're bringing in Danny DeVito to be that 30-something Gen X guy who's quit flying but
Hey,
still in
kids.
charge. Yeah, I'm not going up in the air.
I'd pay money for that.
So, Sean, you and I have the same number 2.
We do. Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery.
And Glass Onion, of course, we didn't watch until it was available, which at the very earliest was December 23rd. So it's like maybe some recency bias. I came so close to making it number 1, Sean. Did you debate whether or not to make Glass Onion number 1?
No, it's not the best movie I've seen this year, but I do really like it a lot. It's the kind of movie that I know I'm going to go back to again, just because I just love the way that Rian Johnson makes movies. Everything is with intention and purpose, and it's great.
I feel really bad now that I haven't watched Brick, because I think I would love it, because I love Knives Out and Glass Onion. Everything I said about loving Agatha Christie, you can take all that, ball it up, take it times 2, and put it on this new thing that Rian Johnson has going. And I know it's not an entirely new thing, because I know there's a little like film noir influence in
Mhm.
Brick. I guess it's a bit of a mystery because I haven't seen it, so I'm just guessing.
Mhm.
But I suddenly love what he's doing with this character, Benoit Blanc. And Daniel Craig, such a humble actor, to be a guy who in all reality is probably more physically fit than Bautista, but he's willing to play like the dorky role and wear his shirt in the pool when we all know the guy's got an 8-pack.
Oh, I totally disagree with that, man. I think that he has, because when watching this little featurette on this movie, one of the things that they talked about was that he's like, make me look like Clark Gable in this movie, is what he said to the wardrobe mistress on the show.
Nice.
That is one of the
I
big things that I loved about this was the wardrobe, specifically his
Classic,
wardrobe.
yeah.
He looks so good. Like he had like so many like great little different outfits and stuff.
But wearing his shirt in the pool in particular was something. He always has something tied around his neck, and that's what somebody who's self-conscious about their neck and Adam's apple does. He does a lot of things here that are subtle clues to the fact that he is very confident in his mind but uncomfortable with his body.
Yes.
And And I love that coming from one of the sexiest men on earth, which, you know, as a straight guy, I can say that Daniel Craig is one of the sexiest men on earth.
I don't know. I think that face stops it.
Come on, man. He's
got a face only a mother could
I'll tell you
love.
what. Let's just do an experiment where we get 10,000 women to look at your face, my face, Sean's face, and Daniel Craig's face, and see who they want to spend the weekend with. Daniel Craig's coming in at least second.
Well, they also know who Daniel Craig is.
Well, you know what? That's malarkey. They know who I am too. You can ask anybody who knows me. Would you rather be with Bruce or Daniel Craig? And even though they know me, they're going to pick Daniel Craig.
Oh, even though they know you, as opposed to because they know you.
Yeah, potato. I love the courage in his performance.
Yes.
You know, and it's one of those things. Before I watched this movie, I was kind of thinking, like, in Hollywood, can a straight guy play a gay character anymore? Like, I don't even know if you can do that now, but Daniel
You should
Craig
be able
does it.
to, I would think. But
Well, you can't.
You can do it if you do it like Daniel Craig does it, where it has nothing to do with the character.
Yes.
It's just there.
It's
And
just there.
You don't make him like Gay Dean from Community or Glenn
Yes.
from Letterkenny.
Though, not for nothing, I would like to see like an alternative movie, like just an outtake of all the stuff where like each take Ryan Johnson just goes, all right, just gay it up this time though, and then just have like a super over the top gay Benoit Blanc just going through something. Just made me kind of want to see that too. I don't know why.
It made me so much want to go back and watch Knives Out again, but
I suggest you do, because it does.
I think when I watch Knives Out,
Reward you.
I'm watching Anna Armas. Is that her name?
Anna de Armas.
my,
Oh,
yes.
aren't we all? Oh, my
Well,
word.
I mean, I don't think I appreciated everything Daniel Craig did with Benoit Blanc. I thought, oh, he's just doing a foghorn leghorn. But
Well,
then
boy,
I see
at the
this
start
one,
of this movie, he is foghorn leghorning it up like I never.
But when I
It
see this
subsides,
movie,
but boy,
there is
it is
no-
harsh at the top.
there is no Anna Armas.
De Armas.
De Armas, there's no Anna de Armas to distract me from him. I'm 100% on him, and I'm realizing like this MFer knows what he's doing. This guy might actually be good at his job.
He's not doing this. He's not doing the same subtleties that he's doing in this one, though, Bruce.
I
Like,
do
they-
suspect
They
foul
give
play.
him a lot more to do in this movie as a character than they do in the first one.
Oh,
Because in the
very.
first one, you've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
you've
yeah,
got to like rocket ship to that
I mean, the
to that
first one,
plot.
the first one, I think it's fair to say that that's Anna's movie more than his. And this one is his.
Yeah,
Well, in the first one, you're seeing everything through the Anna character's eyes, and in
Yeah.
this one, you're seeing it all through Blanc's eyes.
And I don't know if anybody listening to this has ever heard the Nerd Spawn Genesis audiobook, but Dr. Hammerclaw in those closing chapters, 100% my Benoit Blanc impression.
Are we at top?
Number one, buddy.
One, the big apple.
All
The
right.
big juicy ball of cheese, as they say in Hollywood.
They do.
Yep,
It's
that's how
a
they do it.
common
That's
parlance
what they
for a
call it.
reason.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, boys. I got a sneaking suspicion here. We're probably gonna have a 3-way tie for first place. So
I
but
think
number-
we're all three going to have different movies.
I highly doubt that, because unless you think about it in a weird, different way, like they do in this movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I didn't see this movie.
You didn't,
so it can't be my
oh
number one.
my word, have mercy. Well, it would be your number
I
one.
saw
had you seen it.
Beavis. I saw Beavis and Butthead do the universe, and I heard it was basically the same film.
Basically, I mean, close enough. Well, this one's got Michelle Yeoh in it though.
I'm all about short
And is
round.
not animated and is honestly like it is. There's a reason that the movie got as much hype as it did. There's a reason that it did as well as it did, and it's just a glorious love letter to Michelle Yeoh. The more you know about her career and everything and who she's
Yep.
kind of been, the more it touches you, and just everyone in it is great, from husband to grandma and daughters, everybody. It's just a fantastic movie. Again, another one of those when it starts, if you don't know anything about it, there's no way you can write down on a piece of paper anything remotely close to what happens in this movie. It's so bizarre, it's so out there, but yet at the same time is very relatable, and you understand everything that's going on. Nothing is ever confusing, and you just get this great heartwarming story that, like, as many times as I've gone through all the films that I've been thinking about for this year, it just keeps coming to, and it seems so cliche at this point because so many people say it, but there's a good reason why. It's friggin' good, people.
Is it your number one, Sean?
Oh, it's not even close. This isn't only the best movie I've seen this year. This is the best movie I've seen in like 5 years. And this is the reason why for me is that this movie sneaks up on you. Like, you keep hearing people like me just lavish praise all over this thing. But when I started watching this movie, it's like, well, this movie's good, but it's not great. Like, I don't get why everyone is saying such amazing things about this movie. And then there's two scenes in particular that get me so hard that I was openly weeping in the movie theater. I could not stop crying.
I gotta see this movie now.
At one part in particular, and you guys know what a rock I am when it comes to this kind of thing.
Like, if you
there
heard
was a
me
reason why my nickname was Robot Johnson forever.
Robot
Johnson. So like I if you don't want to be spoiled by anything, don't listen. But this is like when the actor who I do not want to call Short Round anymore because he deserves so much more than that.
I just don't know any other name.
I don't either. That actor has a
last name.
That actor has a scene because I'm watching this movie and I'm going on and on and on. And he says to his wife, he's like, you think that I'm weak because I'm nice, but that's actually my strength. And you've never gotten that. And oh my God, it got me so hard. I'm openly weeping in the movie theater.
You don't even understand how I could probably relate to that statement.
I do.
So my number one.
Hold on. Because I gotta tell you the big one. Is the best written piece of fiction that I have seen dialogue-wise in years is in the scene where Michelle Yeoh has her daughter in that parking lot, and she goes, "Oh my God, it's the best written piece of fiction in forever." And she goes, "I could be anywhere I want, anywhere in the world, and I've chosen here to be with you, and you're not even nice to me." And it gets you so hard. Like, I'm about to start to openly
Hold on, I gotta write
now.
this down for when my wife gets back from her trip.
and it got me so hard that like my daughter, because I saw it with my daughter, and my daughter's like, "Am I like that?" And I was like, "No, not at all."
And the Sean's heart grew 3 sizes that day.
It was so, man, it is so well done. It is so, like, it's so well acted, written, shot. Every single thing about that movie, and that scene does not work unless the entire rest of the movie has happened in front of it.
And the budget is really impressively low, right? Like this is labor of love kind of movie.
But you will see, Adam, I'm sure you know why. Like, you can see why this movie didn't cost a ton of money, because they were just really smart about making this movie.
And one of those things that, like, and when you say smart, it's almost unbelievably so especially when you see what they do and how much they do, and then find out what they did it with. You're like, I don't know how you pulled that off, pal.
Yeah,
but they did, and it's quite astounding. And let's go to our Patreon people here.
Can I tell my number one?
Oh, do we know?
Oh, please.
I'm
sorry,
so sorry.
Because I wanted to say that the fact that my number one didn't show up on either of your top 10 lists makes me think you guys haven't seen this movie.
Maybe.
Because it's a movie that maybe wouldn't be your number one. Like, I got my own kind of criterion, what I look for and what makes me happy and what I enjoy. But Bullet Train was a ride, pun fully intended. Me and my youngest son went to see Bullet Train in the theater. I loved it. It's got so many different, like this is a different kind of cinematic accomplishment, but it's from the guy who directed Deadpool 2. So it's got a lot of that. It, in a strange way, is like an indirect sequel to The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, which is weird because, it's got some familiar faces that show up in cameos. It's got Zazie Beetz inside of a giant panda mascot costume. It's got all kinds of good stuff going on here. And I had so much fun with this. And there's something about Brad Pitt who can perfectly play the dead sexy guy who has no clue he's attractive. Like he is
Yeah.
perfect at that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he does that here, wearing his bucket hat, pulling his hair back. He's got a little bit of a beard. And my kids are like, Dad, it's weird because you look nothing like Brad Pitt, but he's dressing exactly like you here. And I'm like, yeah, he is, because the guy understands what's going on. He's got like a code name. He's trying to give up killing, but giving up killing isn't so easy. And everybody's trapped on this train. So it's like a closed room mystery with lots of murder, lots of action. Bad Bunny, is that his name? There's like a Puerto Rican rapper that shows up as an assassin. It's incredible, the depth that shows up here and all the connections that get made and how much fun this is to watch. And it's like a guy doing one last criminal job before he gets out of the business kind of thing. So much fun. I so highly recommend it. Highly rewatchable.
It made my honorable mentions. I have 3. I've got Bullet Train, Nope, and the third one that we haven't even mentioned on the show is Inspector Grom. Are my 3 honorable mentions.
I didn't
this
watch
year.
Inspector Grom either. Now, I got a lot of honorable mentions. Can I go ahead and start running through these? And see if you guys have any comments? So Smile, we already talked about. Halloween Ends.
Nice.
I liked it too.
I liked Halloween Ends. You know, I've got a soft spot for horror movies, but I decided to limit myself to one horror movie. So I put Terrifier 2 on there for the same reason X didn't make the list. Believe it or not, I enjoyed Jackass Forever.
That's on my runners-up list.
I had fun with Medea Homecoming because it had the Irish cross-dressing guy as a special guest in that one. Let's see. I also had Where the Crawdads Sing. Nope. Easter Sunday, because it's like the Filipino movie.
Oh, yeah.
Definitively that has been made so far. So, you know, took the family to see that. And then The Woman King and Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Those round out my honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions for me, like I said, Jackass Forever. I put Black Phone on there as well. I enjoyed that.
Haven't seen it yet, but I love the writer.
It wasn't the most amazing thing in the world, but for what it was, and I liked how it kind of closed it out. I liked Clerks 3. I thought it was good enough. Good enough for
nice.
me.
Haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Enjoyed Amsterdam. I thought that was good. Maybe not amazing, but you know.
I've heard some boredom reports.
I didn't love that movie.
I didn't think it wasn't amazing, but like I don't know. Maybe I went in with literally zero.
Sure.
I knew nothing
Sure.
about it other than like, oh, Christian Bale's in this. Okay, sweet. So I'll check it out. And old what's his face there as well, Washington.
Flamo Washington.
And I hesitate to put it there, but this was the biggest surprise for me is how much I didn't hate the Munsters. Rob Zombie's
Man,
The Munsters.
I do not understand your love for that movie.
Oh, I don't love it. I just didn't hate it. I was like, 'cause I think I thought it was going to be just the worst. It's not good. And I'll probably watch it again and hate it. But maybe that's my I can't believe I didn't throw up while watching it movie, I suppose. Because I was ready. I was ready to just die. And I was like, this is better than some of his other stuff. That's why that's kind of how I thought about it.
I had so much fun with this topic in this episode. I think this is a good replacement to the HMP Awards. I think we can retire those.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All right. So
I'm glad because I know that you weren't super psyched about this.
Actually, I liked it the more that I got into it. That's the
nice.
funny thing about it.
Nice.
All right, so let's go through some of our Patreon people.
Yeah.
Here are their top movies. Tim says, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is the top film of the list for me. I also liked Weird Al, The Yankovic Story. Very similarly to the way I enjoyed Bill and Ted 3. Just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Chris says, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Top Gun Maverick, 13 Lives. I feel like I know what that's supposed to be.
I don't know 13 Lives.
I don't know that movie either.
The Adam Project, I know that's a streaming thing. I feel like that's
that
Netflix.
was Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He confronts himself as a kid.
Didn't see that one. And Everything Everywhere All at Once. All right. Neil said his is the Weird Al movie, Top Gun Maverick, Barbarian, X and Pearl. A lot of sames around here. I like that. Noah says, have not seen as many as I would have liked, but for me, Top Gun Maverick was incredible. Nostalgia and just awesome action. Elvis, Weird, X, and All Quiet on the Western Front. And I'm sure there are a lot more out there that are great. I just did not get to see so many non-hero movies this year. Chad's number 5 is Barbarian. Number 4, Jackass Forever. Number 3, The House, Netflix stop motion film. I hadn't heard of that one. I'll check that
No,
out.
me neither.
Number 2 was Nope, and number 1 tells me Chad is Chad, come on, I love you, but Crimes of the Future is your number 1? That says Chad's a really weird guy.
I've never heard of that film. I apologize.
It's a David Cronenberg feature where
Oh my God, it's
I do
nightmare
know this
fuel.
movie. Yes,
Yeah.
I heard it was not well received.
at the end of the day, you just kind of want to go, all right, okay, I get it. You like weird sex stuff. after so many
Clive
films with
Barker
him,
called. He wants his sex stuff back.
yeah, it's just like, okay, you like weird sex stuff. That's great. Between that and like Existence and Videodrome and stuff, you like kinky things. I get it. That's fine.
Scanners.
Dave had 2, number 2, Day Shift. That's on Netflix. I heard that was pretty good, at least action wise. And number 1 was Weird. Weird getting a lot of
Nice.
votes here.
Nice.
I'm glad to know so many people have the Roku channel because I had no idea who would be able to see Weird.
I had to hook up the laptop to my thing because the Roku channel doesn't. That's the one thing that the Apple TV doesn't have is a bloody Roku channel. Justin wraps it up here. His number 5 was Weird, incredibly funny, and a perfect Weird Al treatment to the music biopic. That's all the rage. Number 4 for him was RRR, completely bonkers, but loved every minute of this 3-hour runtime. Number 3, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was just an incredible, beautiful piece of cinema. Number 2 for him was Top Gun Maverick, an old school blockbuster driven by an old school movie superstar. And number 1 for was Justin, right? Okay, Justin was Glass Onion, incredibly smart, stylistic, and
Nice.
fun. If Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig want to spend the rest of their careers making Knives Out films, it would make me delightfully happy.
When you're going through in Glass Onion, when Benoit Blanc's going through all of the times that Edward Norton's character has screwed up a word, and they just keep flashing back to all the things that he said that aren't actual words. My God, that's a great moment.
It's like it's one of those things that like you feel like maybe you're just trying to give yourself enough credit because I want to go like I feel like I heard some of those, but like you do how you do with normal people, you know. Somebody mispronounces something, you're just like, well, that idiot just said that wrong.
I still say the best part is when he solves the murder mystery the moment it starts. Like actually before it starts. It's
So
right
good.
before he's ready to say get started and he jumps up and solves
Here's
it.
this thing, and here's exactly how it's
worst
going to happen.
part-
I love it.
The worst part is there's a part in the movie where they use Jeremy Renner's hot sauce as fake blood, and hot sauce is really too watery to use as fake blood.
And
It's so
usually,
good.
and that one was, well, it was kind of a brownie sort of color. I don't know.
Jared Leto's hard
Booch
hard
me, bro. Booch
kombucha.
me.
hard kombucha.
Booch me, bro.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, it's got to be
Sounds like something Jared Leto would do.
you got to do
It
some
does.
really hard, because kombucha's got a little bit of alcohol in it already. But, like,
I mean,
if
it's
you're getting
fermented, but yeah.
hardcore on that, yeah.
God, that's so funny.
So
Booch me, bro.
That'll do it, everybody. This gigantic episode here. We'd like to thank all of you for listening and listening to the show throughout the years, man. Supporting us on iTunes and giving those 5-star reviews. I got one that we'll read next week, as well as all the Patreon people. We're going to give a big giant shout out to all of you guys here. Thanks for holding us out because we had a little bit of a delay on this, but it's out on a Monday, at the end of a Monday, but a Monday.
It's my
nevertheless.
fault. Sorry, everybody. It was my fault.
It's Santa's fault. If Christmas hadn't been on a Sunday, we would have been right on schedule.
Fair enough.
And you
Fair
say you
enough.
don't do voices.
This guy over here. He's like a regular Rich Little. That is it, everybody.
That's my friend, the Jewish kid mayor's voice I'm doing.
Next week, we're going to be doing our Patreon selection. What those movies are, we haven't talked about it yet. We're probably going to do that on the post show. So patreon.com/HMP. That's how you get all the fun stuff and help this here program in the meantime. Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Hey, you want to see what I got for Christmas?
Hey,
I
that
had
sounds dirty. Let's don't talk like that. Come on.
I had a Boxing Day unboxing live stream special that's still available on demand over on YouTube at youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie, or you can use my handle at AnimeDad. And you can see the swords I got for Christmas, the action figure I got for Christmas. You're a sneakerhead, aren't you, Sean?
I am indeed.
You ever heard of Mischief?
No.
My daughter got a really expensive pair of sneakers that were a collaboration between a company called Mischief and Jimmy Fallon. And the sneakers are called Gob Stompers. And the souls, as they wear down, they have different colors, just like a gobstopper as you like put it in your mouth.
Oh, that's
the
neat.
color changes. Yeah.
It's too bad Jimmy Fallon was involved with it.
Yeah, he's a phony.
Does it smell like booze?
He's a phony.
He's also a booze head.
Bruce,
Yeah.
Bruce, are these the shoes that I'm thinking of that I'm looking at here that have like, I will call this, if we're generous here, a 2-inch sole?
Yeah, because the sole's made to be worn down. But they're kind of Frankenstein shoes. Yeah.
He also just wants to be a big boy for a couple of
Yeah,
months.
he does.
It's my daughter's. She's 4'9". Don't begrudge her.
No, he was writing that in. Just be like, hey, listen.
Your daughter's 4'9"?
She's more like 5'1", but I like to pick on her.
A tiny kid.
Yeah, but she can beat people up though. That's the big thing.
Yeah, she's very strong.
She's very strong. Like I would, if I went to the gym with her, she would like outdo me, and I'd like, that's just like, it's so sad. I was like, no, can't do that. No small high school girl's gonna just outlift me, but she definitely would.
It's like a compact piston. You don't have to move the weight as far.
That's also true. I'm like, yeah, I got a long
Yeah.
way to go.
Yeah.
Sean, what else?
We got a show called 30 Questions where each week we review some nerdy property. Our next one coming up is going to be with The Mandalorian in February. We're currently on hiatus. However, if you like things like The Boys, or if you like Star Wars, or let's say you like the Marvels, we've got a 30 Questions about it.
Tons of stuff for you. Yeah, especially if you've never heard any of this stuff before, there's plenty for you to go back and fill that time between now and The Mandalorian. No doubt about that.
Mhm.
That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking our Patreon selection for Sweet Sean's Kovacs from the internet. Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porteous. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Should all acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should acquaintance be forgot in days of auld lang syne? Should all acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should all acquaintance be forgot and days of auld lang syne? For all things done, my dear, for old things done, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all things done. All acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. All acquaintance be forgot and days of auld lang syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and auld lang syne?